Hello everybody, welcome back to Hidden Harvest with Liz. Today we are going to be doing a tour. I think I'm probably quite a few weeks late on doing this tour. But if you are brand new here, my name is Liz. We are in Middle Georgia. We're somewhere between Zone 8A and 8B, and there has been a lot of transitions since my last video. So let's go ahead and get into it. I don't know if you can tell, but there's a really good chance for a storm today, so I might have to do an abbreviated tour just in case the storm kicks off. So let's get some perennial stuff taken care of, and then we'll go to the main garden, which I know you guys are wanting to see all the changes. First off, we have the strawberry bed. It's right now not really putting on a whole lot. It's got a lot of green growth and some strawberries that are not looking so lovely right now. 'Tis the season. As a matter of fact, I'm letting this, I don't know what this is, some sort of weed, something. I'm letting it grow in here because we are supposed to be hitting the 90s, which means the exceptionally hot, humid season has started. And this will help protect it from a little bit of the sun. And of course, my snapdragons are kind of in their middle ugly duckling phase. And so are my walking onions. But they are in the middle of walking, so as you can see, we've got bulbs. They're starting to fall over. I'll have more bulbs in here later on. This bed right here is probably going to get a full reset this fall. These guys are going to go into dormancy, and I will get them out and move them. I would like to make this a perennial garlic bed for elephant garlic. So just waiting until fall time. Then we've got our Jerusalem artichokes. We have not got any blooms yet, but as you can see, this thing is fully packed. I took everything out of this bed, and there were only tiny bulbs left in here. And as you can see, those tiny bulbs did indeed sprout. So we'll see what happens there. And then we have our, wow, these guys are really looking pitiful. The asparagus bed. We haven't really gotten any rain, and this side over here is not irrigated, and it's kind of left to its own devices. So I probably do need to put some water on it to help these guys out. I'm pretty sure the bed is really, really dry. And yeah, that's the asparagus, looking very pitiful. It's already gone to seed. Some of it in the back is starting to die, but this should be green and lush, not brown and ugh like it is in the background right now. So yeah, definitely need to water that. I have got my blueberries. They're done doing their blueberry thing, if they were going to do their blueberry thing at all. And a whole lot of herbs: sage, oregano, sage. Apparently we have a bloom going on. I don't understand this. It grew in here, around here, and up here, and then bloomed. I don't understand what this thing is doing. Okay, and as far as our raspberries and our blackberries, this area has gotten very wild. As you can see, we do have blackberries that are in. Right now, and these things are monstrous. We also have some sort of, I don't know what it is, that has started eating. So something during this season comes out and starts eating these leaves. I'll have to look it up and see if I can figure out what it is. Right now, it's not actually causing any problems, so I don't want to do any sort of pesticides or anything like that. That would be overkill. I've got like, I don't know, 8 bags of this stuff in my freezer already. So if the pests get some at this particular point, I'm okay with it. Also, I don't know what this is. It's springing up all over the place, whatever it is. And the raspberries, this is supposed to be a pathway. This is supposed to be a pathway. Those are raspberries. There's my actual raspberry patch right there. Needless to say, they have escaped. I really like raspberries, so I think maybe another patch of raspberries somewhere might be a good idea. Also, I do apologize if the camera is shaking at all. I'm still getting used to the tripod. I haven't had a chance to work with it that much. And I also have not eaten this morning. I wanted to get out here just in case the storm starts. So I got a little bit of the shakes, so I do apologize if it's a bit shaky. Let's move on to the actual garden. I'm pretty sure you guys want to see the changes. A lot of stuff has changed. I usually do this so that people can see the variations in where everything is set up. I have my orchard and driveway, not my driveway, but my road over there. So orchard, driveway, driver side beds, main garden, beds 1 through 5, 6 through 10. And then the last 2 beds over there, chicken house. And right around this, which is supposed to be a greenhouse but is broken, is my blueberry patch. So that's where everything is in relation to each other. And my deciding factors on what goes where has a whole lot to do with how much sun this area gets, how much sun that tree blocks, and that tree blocks. So a lot of things are in these places because of when the sun is actually going to be on the garden. All right, so driver's side area, which kind of has a few perennials and then some other stuff. So let's take a peek. We have a Seminole pumpkin, some regular onions. They look very pitiful, but I'm just leaving there because they're storing in ground right now. Sort of. That one right there is already starting to get some dieback, and I need to go ahead and pull that one. I was using these for fresh eating for sandwiches. The rest of the onions are already pulled. We have got our Egyptian walking onions, and while it looks like they tried walking, these are brand new beds that I just put in this season right before planting season started, so it didn't even have a chance to decompose anything in here. They're looking kind of pitiful and probably need a good fertilization. But it is the hot season, so these guys are not going to do very well at all. They're going to die back. And hopefully they will come back. If not, I've got walking onions planted in various places of my yard, so I can replant this again if necessary. And then I have got this bed, which is full of perennial flowers. This is supposed to be a pollinator thing, but I have a feeling none of these are going to bloom until next year, so they're in standstill. Then I have got some medicinals. Feverfew is really the only thing that bloomed up nice. We do have the hyssop. It kind of sort of bloomed. As you can see, we've got some die-off and the lavender as well. But ultimately, this bed is kind of, I don't know. I guess because it's not actually on irrigation, and we get a whole bunch of rain and then we don't get a whole bunch of rain at all. No rain. You're not allowed. So the beds along this area, since they don't actually have irrigation in, I know the piping is here, but the irrigation's not in the bed. These being brand new beds and not on irrigation, they're struggling, but they are alive. Then over here, we have some amaranth in here, and they are starting their blooming process. They are attracting the pests over here away from the garden. So they're basically doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is a weed. Like I said, these are the seeds that I saved from last year. So I was actually kind of surprised without proper storage, they still managed to come up at all. They are a lot shorter than they're supposed to be because they're so closely packed in. But that's okay. I just want them to take the seed and put it right back in here because I want this to be a permanent bed for these. Because they are a good trap crop, plus they're also a grain if I ever need it. Then over here in this final bed, I don't know what's going on exactly. This is a whole bunch of sunflowers. Like I said, I stored these inside my garage. I was not expecting them to be viable seeds, but they were, and they all sprouted, and they kind of packed each other in. It does look like they're going to try and bloom, though. So some of these will bloom, then they'll probably die back, and some of these others will have a chance, hopefully. But I also want this to be a permanent bed. I was thinking maybe 3 or 4 sunflowers tops, but it's all of those, plus the ones that fell in the pathway, which I'm not mad about at all. This is my hand at shoulder height. These are going to be massive and multi-headed. I don't know if you guys can see that. Safe seed, so we'll find out what it does. Okay, now let's get to the actual garden where a whole bunch of changes happened. This particular side of the garden hasn't changed all that much because most of that stuff is perennial or things that I want to continue sprouting in that area. So, I hope we're ready because this is a whole lot of change, and then some good and not so good change. All right, first off, bed number 1, I moved one of my rosellas up here to give the others some more room. If you'll remember, this bed was my garlic. The garlic has already been pulled up. It is currently drying. Now there are a whole bunch of weeds in here and I need to go through it, but the season has turned hot, so this is likely going to get ignored. That is lemon basil. I did not plant that. It sprouted from last year. Borage from last year. Jicama, I actually planted these. I'll see how they do. I don't even know if I like this plant, so I've just got a few plants over here. I don't know how big they get. I've heard things from content creators online, and I have learned when a whole bunch of people online start talking about something, it's not necessarily a good thing, because I jumped on the poblano thing and then found out I really didn't care for poblanos. So I mean, poblanos are good and all, but they're not that good. So I only put a few in. Then I've got some mammoth basil here. They're still very small. They just went in not long ago waiting for a spot to go. But they should take off. We're in the hot season. They'll take off and do things. Also in this bed, on the trellis is 2 tomatoes and my Malabar spinach, yet another crop recommended by several content creators. I put a plant here and a plant there. These guys are crazy. But I will tell you, the leaves kind of feel like, I don't know, they have the feel of like a cactus leaf, which is probably the reason why they handle the heat so well. Maybe. But it definitely grows. I was starting to get worried because some of the stuff here at the bottom was getting damaged by some sort of pest, but it grew out of it and it grew fast. So we'll see. I still haven't actually tried eating it. I'm scared. Guys, tell me, have you tried Malabar spinach and is it any good and what do you use it in? Next, we have one of my tomatoes. This is a cherry tomato. I don't actually have it labeled because this one right here was taken out and then put in because the plant that was here was stunted and this one was not labeled. And this one on this side is a volunteer from last year. So no clue what kind it is, but it is a cherry tomato. So this side is kind of iffy, but I have already gotten some tomatoes off of this. And we're going to go over the trellis to this other side. Right here in front of both of these is my mint. And it is currently being propped up by the Malabar spinach. Normally it would look very, very pitiful. I'm just letting them kind of do their own thing. And it looks like the Malabar spinach is protecting the mint from dying back. Over here, this was my red onion bed. It is now okra. And we are not too far away from actually having blooms, which means not too far away from having okra. Now, I'm actually growing this for somebody else because my family doesn't eat a whole bunch of okra, but pickled okra and maybe a couple of bags of breaded okra for frying later on might be a good idea. But this, the only reason I grew this much is because I'm trading the okra for hopefully some deer come fall. And over here, I have got 3 onions along this, not onions, 3 tomatoes along this trellis. And I know at least one of these is a black cherry. This one over here I thought was a cherry, but apparently it was mislabeled because those are full-size tomatoes. So I'm gonna guess the tamando got planted over there, and this one has not actually produced a viable tomato. There's plenty of stuff, so I know it's a cherry. I didn't mislabel the cherry part of this one, but I don't know which kind it is. I feel like I need to, I don't know, re-explain just in case there's anybody new here. There was a bit of a mix-up during the seeding process. I started a whole bunch of seeds, nothing took off, the house got too cold for anything to come up. So I used the same containers and replanted straight back into them because the soil was still good. I just reseeded them as soon as the house warmed up a little bit more. Well, the problem with that is the other stuff that I planted in there finally sprouted, and the stuff that I wanted to plant in there the second time didn't sprout. So I wound up with a ton of tomatoes that did not have labels properly anymore. As a matter of fact, I gave some of those out. One was supposed to get a jalapeno. It was not a jalapeno. It was some sort of paste tomato. So I've got a full area over there that if I get time to, the storm looks like it's coming in. If I get time to, I will show you guys the results so far of the tomato gauntlet. But that's just like a quick thing. If I say I don't know what the tomato is, it's because it was part of that whole mishandling tomato seedlings and stuff like that early in life. But I need to hurry up if I'm going to get this done before the rain. I also have to do a bit of picking because my cucumbers are putting on another flush. So let's get to it. Okay, over here in bed number 2, again, driver's side, bed number 2, we've got a borage that's along the side. I've actually found that these guys right here Let me see if I can get in close to where the roots and stuff are actually at. These being on the side of my beds does not upset me at all. As a matter of fact, I like this. The fact that I don't have to waste bedroom for flowers to be in my garden. They can just drop their seed on the side of the bed instead of in the middle of the bed. This is awesome. I like this idea, and I'm going to encourage this happening more often because I like the idea of possibly on the sides of all of my beds having just flowers planted straight in the ground. I like this concept. So anyway, borage, opal basil. This big thing, I don't know why it spread out like it did. I'm assuming it's because the cilantro was in here. I finally cut it out because it was starting to flower. And I don't want it flowering in here. Not really sure why, other than it's kind of sort of already packed in here. But this is a ghost pepper, Hungarian wax pepper. I've got a whole bunch of serranos back here. The cayenne, jalapeno, ghost pepper. That's all of the hot peppers I've got. I'm trying out these two kinds. And the ghost pepper was kind of an impromptu thing. I have no idea if I would even want to eat a ghost pepper. I wanted to know if I could grow the ghost pepper. But we are starting to get flowers. So I think the answer is yes. It does in fact get hot enough here for these guys to do something. So trying these guys out. Last year I found out that I really like a Thai pepper. We'll see whether or not any of these guys work out as staying on rotation. It is starting to rain. Okay, and back behind these hot peppers right here, we've got some of our paste tomatoes. These are just regular sauce tomatoes. Some of them are rather decent size. Some of them are kind of on the small side, but all of this already looks very diseased and everything. And mainly because, sadly, the structure that I wanted to put up for the tomatoes wasn't in until like 2 weeks ago, and we have already had so much rain and everything, which is the reason why the structure wasn't in. It was very hard to get out here and work, which of course led to a whole lot of disease and stuff in the tomatoes. So sadly, I definitely will not be able to leave these guys in for a second flush, but they are ripening the tomatoes that are on them, so I'm okay with that. That just means that it'll be like a full harvest, and then we're just kind of done with those types of tomatoes for a while. From this bed, we have our trellis right here. We have a tamando and an Everglades, and as you can see, we've also got disease here. And the Everglades is actually a very good tomato for this type of weather. Humidity, dry, then humidity and dry, very hot and everything else like that. And even these guys have got some disease with the downpour of rain that we have gotten in the last couple of months. Now, it has been dry for maybe a week or so, and we're getting tiny little showers like we just got earlier that lasted maybe 10 minutes. So this kind of disease is not unusual to see. It just means I need to come through, and as soon as we have a couple of days where I'm not getting rained on every 5 minutes or blasted with heat, I need to come in and get this part off so the plant can recover. The tamando actually looks okay as far as the tomatoes go. It has ripened a few, and some that are kind of sitting inside of the fence right there, as you can see, that are not quite doing well. This one, I'm not sure why it's not quite as tall. I have others in the garden that are doing a little bit better than this one. I think maybe this one needs some fertilizer, but I'm not 100%. The whole garden needs fertilizer. I did fertilizer a month ago, and I have not had a chance to come back out here and do more fertilizer. So we had a flush of stuff, but more fertilizer needs to happen. Going over the trellis from bed 2 to bed 7, we have got the same thing on this side. We have got Everglades, which you can see. We are definitely getting some Everglades. We've gotten a lot, actually. Now, I was talking about it earlier whenever I was talking about the yucca. I think I'm saying that right. Might be saying it wrong. The yucca, I was not sure whether or not it was a plant that I was actually going to like and therefore want to grow a lot of. There is a trend among gardeners on YouTube where they'll all talk about the same plant and try and get people to buy the same new plant nobody's ever heard of, and then you get it home and try it out and you just really don't like it. Everglades Wow, very, very prolific. I've got some other plants I'm going to show you in a minute, and they're definitely showing out. I've actually had to cut some of it out because it was getting crazy. But the only issue is whenever you pull a tomato, here, let me get a ripe one, I'll show you. If it doesn't come with this, the top, it automatically splits every single one of them. All of them are automatically open. It's not like I could pick a bunch of these and take them inside and eat them for, I don't know, a meal, my next meal or something like that. I basically can get these and like eat them as a snack. So I'm not really sure what I want to do with these kind. You guys let me know what you think, because I'm not as prolific as these are. I've mostly just given them to my chickens because as soon as I pick them, they do this, and my chickens absolutely love these guys. But taking them inside, they make a big mess, and they don't store for like the next meal that I'm working on unless I want to pick it 2 minutes beforehand. Hold on, I'll pick you guys some more later on. So while I like the Everglades, I think I need one that's got a little bit more, I don't know, skin structure or something like that, a little bit more stability to the cherry tomato. I do have other cherry tomatoes that are doing very well. Just these, as prolific as they are, they're not good storage ones. And I'm not sure what to do with them other than that, because I don't think you can really use them for like a salsa or something. So anyway, moving on. Also in bed number 7, we have got a Seminole pumpkin. This one is not taking off as well. I am pretty sure I forgot to fertilize this one when I fertilized everything else, because some of the others are actually doing better than this one. I have got my cucumbers. There's 3 different types of cucumbers. They have massively taken over this area. I really thought that my cucumbers were done for the season after I started seeing some pickle worms, but they've started putting on another flush without the pickle moths. Here we go. The pickle moths, the pickle worms. But these guys are making it without getting holes in them. So maybe the life cycle, if I can get the plant to survive, because I have a bad tendency of not paying attention, and a big cucumber suddenly sprouting, and before you know it, the plant dies because it put out all of its effort into one fruit. If I can get it to survive, I should be able to get some more flushes. Now these particular plants, it would be better if I had several different plants or several different plantings around the yard and started them at different phases, because these are already starting to succumb to the same thing. They're starting to succumb to the same thing everything else is. And it's just basically, we get a lot of moisture and then heat, moisture and heat, moisture and heat. So while I am getting cucumbers and they are a good size and everything, I'm not sure how much longer these plants are going to be able to fight against this heat and this moisture. But I'm willing to let these guys continue going. The only problem is this mess back here, which I'll show you in just a second. But that is the only thing planted on this side. And we've got an opal basil here, a snapdragon. These are actual sweet potatoes, not sweet potato slips, but sweet potatoes, because I want these for the greens for the chickens once they grow up. Here's bed number 6. I don't know if you guys can see it. I've got some serious craziness going on up there. But on this side, you can actually see that I also have a borch that volunteered right there too, on the edge of the side of the bed. So this is actually a really cool use. And I have a sage up against the chicken house. I have an idea for this section. I still haven't brought the bricks over in order to do so, but that's going to happen eventually. Over here is where I'm having an issue. I don't know if you guys can see this, but as I said before, I waited way too long to put up my tomatoes. They're in a basket weave pattern, but they are all over the place, falling all over the place, not doing so well because of all the weather. But in amongst this, I have cucumbers growing into the tomato plant, and a few times already I have caught some really significant size cucumbers growing in here. I almost had one of them go to seed. Like the plant was putting a ton of effort, like tons and tons of effort into one cucumber, and yeah, I yanked it off of there and tossed it out because, of course, I I don't know if you guys can see it. I've got roly-polies all in this mess. They're trying really hard to do what roly-polies do, and that's get into stuff and things. But they're trying to break this stuff down because it's a chaos, and that's what they do. But I do have some tomatoes that are growing, and I'm just going to let these guys do their thing and try to ripen what they can, and then they're coming out, because this mess is crazy right here. So this bed is going to get reset. I see another cucumber. This bed is going to get reset pretty soon. Okay, and bed number 3, we have got our paste tomatoes. These are the super sauce tomatoes back here, and I'll show you guys those in a minute. But up front, I did have a summer squash, and as you can see, the squash vine borer got into it. It didn't take very long. We got a part of a squash out of it, and then it died. I have got a Seminole pumpkin here. This one is doing very well. It's starting to trellis out. I have got an opal basil, I've got a straw flower, echinacea, and of course those guys. Pretty decent sized fruit over here, hang on. This is a super sauce. Now, what I have noticed, aside from the occasional splitting that has been happening because of all the rain, and my obvious neglect because of all of the rain and not getting this guys up in the basket weave fast enough, nowhere near fast enough, the super sauces are actually holding up better than the others. Their fruit is a whole lot bigger. I'm not getting blossom end rot. The skin isn't splitting as much as the others have. So this might actually, even though it was like 3 times the price of the normal seeds, it might be worth it because of the way our springs sometimes are. So it's just a thought for next year. On our trellis right here, we have the Tamondo. No, these are not Tamondos. These are the Sun Gold. No, Mr. Stripey. These are the Mr. Stripey ones. So far, I have not actually gotten a fully ripe one off of here, because every time they get about here, they start to split as soon as the rain comes in. And of course, dealing with the same kind of thing we're dealing with a rain, but there's still tons and tons of fruit going on. So hopefully, it'll continue to ripen this fruit. We've got mid-90s coming up later on in this week, so I'm not sure how this is going to work. I know it's going to drop its blooms, but hopefully it won't drop its fruit. And across the trellis, on the other side, we have our yellow tomatoes. I do not have the tag over here for some reason, so I don't actually remember what they were called. It's a Sun Gold variety type of tomato, so it's a cherry tomato that yellows. And it does have a lot of fruit. Like I said, I don't know whether or not these are going to hold because of the heat this week. But these guys are looking surprisingly good, given the amount of damage the other tomatoes have got right now. So, holding up pretty good. Down here we have our planting of sweet potatoes. If you'll remember, we were actually talking about taking out the potatoes. I think I showed that in a video, my previous one. So, sweet potatoes are in. There is some sort of pest. I'm not sure what it is. I haven't seen it. But it's eating all of the leaves off. This one's actually starting to recover. So, I mean, nothing comes over here and starts chewing on that one. It should be fine. That one looks like it might recover, but this one, probably not going to. These are basically going to be here until the end of fall. So it's like September 22nd. These guys have got a long way to go. All right, bed number 4. We have got several things that are going to seed. I've got some celery and parsley here. Basically, these are just for pollinators. I'm not actually collecting anything. I did trim them back to keep them into the bed because they had fallen all into the pathway. But they put on new blooms, and this is actually kind of interesting because we do have some bugs that are hanging out in here, and maybe eventually I will get some celery seed or something, parsley seed out of them. I'm not 100%. We'll see. We'll see. This is my bell pepper bed, and I have a poblano that I overwintered over there. It's produced 1. Given the fact that the heat index is supposed to go sky high, I don't expect I'm going to get very many right now, and I really need to go through and fertilize all the beds, so they're probably not going to do very much. I have an opal basil, a regular basil that has gone to flower, which I'm okay with. I don't use a ton of basil, so it's fine that it goes to flower. And then I have got my paste tomatoes in the back. Same thing as before. Took a long time to get them basket weaved, but now they are, so hopefully we'll get some fruit out of those. On this one, we have got some more. Oh, these guys are the pink ones, the pink tomato. Decent sized fruit. So far, nothing has been harvestable, but as before, these guys are actually holding up, whereas a lot of tomatoes are looking brown like this. These, just a couple of little spots, and that's it. So these guys are going pretty good. Over here on bed number 9, across the way, where on bed number 9, I have got a snapdragon. It's basically gone dormant. There's one over there in that corner too. You can't hardly see it. It's been basically taken over by that tomato back behind it. So there's one there and there's one here. And we have got all of our sweet peppers that are just slightly different than the banana peppers. I've got a mini bell, my bell that I overwintered, a jalapeno. We've got some lunchbox style peppers. We've got a carbonella, or cabanella. I don't know how to say that one. We have got the sweet banana pepper and what looks to be a black-eyed pea growing back here. I didn't plant that. I haven't planted my black-eyed peas yet. I mean to, but I haven't done it yet. That just looks like a random black-eyed pea, and I'm perfectly okay with that thing growing. And then back here, of course, we got another line of our paste tomatoes. Now these guys are looking a little bit better, but not by much. But I think it's because there are 3 here, whereas there's 4 on the others. So there's some space in between, keeping airflow. So this might be a good lesson for next year, is to just do 3 on the back instead of 4. Either that or just get out here and start basket weaving them before. In fairness, I was actually waiting for the poles to be put in and for the ground to dry out enough for the poles to be put in. Okay, this particular run goes 3 down, so we're going from 4, 9 to 10. No, not 10, 11. So as you can see, my lemon balm has taken over this entire bed. I'm okay with this. I don't mind it taking over this entire bed as long as it leaves me a bit of the trellis to work with. This side right here, I've basically just been growing greens, which, as you can see, they're not doing so great, but I've been growing greens just for the chickens. I haven't actually been using any of this. I'll throw some seeds down, whatever grows I'll give to the chickens, and just kind of repeating the process. I haven't done it in a while because most of these greens right here will not grow in our heat, and it is way too hot to get them to germinate, so I've just kind of left it out and pulled out a few. I do have some chicory that is growing in there. Chicory is a perennial. These guys, I'm not sure if you guys remember them from the wintertime. I actually thought they were dead. They were so tiny, barely coming out of the ground, and this is how much they've grown over this entire season. I haven't done another harvesting, but what I have noticed is this year I'm getting blooms, which is both good because I want to see what it looks like when it blooms, and bad because that means it's probably going to put out seed and escape the garden bed. So that's the lemon balm. Really good tea if you're ever thirsty and want to have a good herbal tea that does a whole lot for your body. That's a great one. And of course, I said we have greens here, and then right here we have what I'm assuming is a cantaloupe. I think I had the beds messed up, or mixed up rather. I think these are cantaloupes. That's a cantaloupe, I think. And that one over there, I'm not sure what that is because it's stunted because it was being covered by that tomato. So, might be a cantaloupe, could be a loofah, who knows? Something. But that one's already grown all the way up over the trellis, and this one's working on it. As I said before, everything in this garden needs fertilizer again. But we are starting to see some blooms, which means things are surviving. Here, let me get this out of the pathway before I step on it. There we go. Just let it climb and get a whole bunch of airflow instead of climbing across the ground. Alright, now we're going to go back to the back line of beds. Okay, this is bed number 5. I just emptied out the last of the onions not long ago, and I need to put some black-eyed peas here. I'm actually not sure if I want to because these guys are taking over. So I'm not 100% on whether or not I want to add to the mess and put black-eyed peas here. What I might just do is go ahead and situate this bed and put some cardboard over it and let it sit, because this bed is probably one I will plant onions again in next year, or I will plant garlic here. I'm not 100% sure on this one, and I've got a few months, so maybe I can put some amendments in here, and by the time I'm ready to plant in it, the amendments would have been fully broken down. This one is just on pause. Then we have got our asparagus bean. It is going crazy. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 plants down there. Maybe. but they are all over the place. There are beans all over the place. For some reason, my ants and aphids absolutely love the beans on this trellis. They did last year, they do this year. I'm not sure why, but I can tell you, this is the first time I've sniffed one of these blooms, and my God, is that smell amazing. It is so different than any smell I would have figured. But they are being very prolific. I'm getting a lot of blooms. I don't know if they'll hold up during this heat, but we're also getting beans down here too. And I have seen several beans. This is actually what they look like. Just tall, long, skinny beans. Well, we have already tried them. The texture is pretty good, a lot better than the other beans that I have been growing. All right, and across the trellis to bed number 10. Oh, hang on. There was one thing that I missed on this bed. Bed number 9 is the trellis tomatoes. I have got some Cherokee purples along the trellis here. And I haven't fully seen one ripe yet, though they are starting to blush. Also, not as much badness on this one either, which is surprising because Cherokee purple is an heirloom and you would figure there would be a whole lot more, so maybe this was just like a protected area. Not sure. And then right here we have got some black prints, and yeah, I think it's just black prints along this one right here. I have gotten a few of them off this one, but it's actually kind of condensed in here and looking kind of sad. So that's what's on this side of the trellis. Then I have my roselle. Everybody knows that I kind of put them back here at the very beginning, not realizing how big these plants were probably going to get. So I have moved some and in between here so I can do some ground cover here to help keep in some water and stuff like that. I put in another Seminole pumpkin. I fully expect it to travel around the bed and then probably into the path after it gets big enough. We'll see. I'm not 100%. This could be a different type of squash that I'm not 100% sure on. There was a squash incident very similar to my tomato incident that happened. I replanted some stuff. Some stuff may or may not be what I think it is. Our roselles are actually starting to flower just a little bit. So these guys, they will flower, and then after they flower, the flower will close, and the thing that is left over, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, that is actually the thing that we harvest. Now, this is the one that I was talking about earlier on in the video. I have actually taken a whole bunch out. As you can see, there's still tons of tomatoes on here, but realizing the shortcoming of the Everglades, I really needed to thin this out. It was packed in here, and there was a bunch of disease starting to develop, and I wanted to be able to get to the tomatoes so that I could feed them to the chickens pretty easily. Right now there's like several handfuls I probably could give to the chickens. But all in all, if you happen to know of anything I could do with the tomatoes that basically when you pick them they pop, let me know down in the comment section. That would be amazing. And if we travel over here to the final bed, which is number 12, we have got an artichoke. We've got a chard that is, I guess, attempting to flower. I'm not really sure what it's doing, but yeah, I think it's flowering. We have got butterfly weed, turmeric. It finally came up. Just some little shoots a few days ago, and already we got some little leaves. This is what's left of the celery. I was trying to wait for it to give me some seeds. It's finally starting to go to seed, but it was taking forever and blocking out the things I had over here. I do apologize if you guys can hear the plane, but if I don't go ahead and do this, it might rain again before I get a chance to get done, so I'm just going to continue going through it. I have got another volunteer borage. We've got another loofah. I've got a moonflower right here, and it's finally starting to get established. Earlier I was talking about the mini plants that people advertise and talk about as little known plants but cool to keep in your garden type of things that were not necessarily my favorite. I think the loofah is probably the one that I would say is definitely worth a grow at least every other year or something like that, because you can make the sponges out of the loofah. I showed those in one of my previous videos, and not only can you make the sponges last for so long, and after you finally have worn them out, you can basically like cut them up and put them into a compost bin or whatever, because they decompose. Well, not decompose so much, it's basically like using cocoa coir or peat moss or something like that. It's kind of the same thing, same kind of texture. So a lot of uses there. I would definitely recommend growing that. But that is, yeah, I think that's basically the entire garden. There's a couple of thises and that's that are, but we are probably going to get another storm here in, I would say probably about 5 minutes, and I don't want my camera getting rained on again. So I will see you guys in the next video. You have a wonderful day overnight and you stay shiny. Bye.